myself. Alley goes lengthwise, not widthwise. Where was I? Right, crying. I've got some bad news, guys. Yet again, the adventure bus has broken. Oh God, I gotta step out for a second. Yeah, you guys heard right. The adventure bus may have blown up its transmission. Let me share a story with you guys. So, I was driving home from a camping trip the other day, and suddenly the trans temp sensor is reading negative 69 degrees. Nice. The not so nice part is then it started flashing the overdrive lights. Now, the bus was driving just fine, so I didn't really think much of it. I just figured, trans sensor went out, and it's telling me that. That's why it's flashing the overdrive light, blah, 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 blah. And that's true. The trans sensor definitely did blow up, but for some reason, the front main seal on the pump in the transmission also blew itself up. So pretty much I got it back to the shop and realized it was pissing transmission fluid. I parked it, I checked the dipstick, and there was 0 trans fluid on the dipstick. So that means the trans was quite low. I had a diesel mechanic come over and check it out, and that's when he told me that it was most likely the front seal on the pump. Yet again, still don't know what that means, but either way, the transmission has to come out of the adventure bus and either get a new seal or an entirely new transmission. We don't know how long I was driving it without fluid. We don't know how low the fluid really is. We don't know all too much until the trans is out. Now, this situation is reminding me a lot of last year when we just got the drift truck running and driving. We were about to go to a bunch of events all summer, have a bunch of fun, and then the bus blew up, and we only made it to one event the entire summer, and it stunk. Then we spent a bunch of money getting the bus fixed, and then I'm like, all right, next year we're gonna go to all the events. Shawano is now hosting its first weekend-long event next weekend, and then the bus blows up. So we really wouldn't go, but we're gonna go. I'm gonna drive this thing 4 hours, drift it for 2 full days, and then drive it 4 hours back. I am not letting myself miss any more drift events because of that bus. Nuh-uh. That's why we're here today with the truck. We gotta get it ready to drive all the way there. We gotta get it ready to drift for 2 full days, and that's what we're gonna do. In this video, we are going to do an angle kit on the truck, a more aggressive angle kit. We are going to make custom knuckles that shorten it even more and get the steering geometry a little bit more in line. Then we've got some steering rack spacers, and we're gonna hope that gives us enough angle. I don't need crazy wise fab amounts of angle right now, but just enough. Without further ado, let's cry about the bus some more and get started working on the drift truck. Found out some good news, although kind of embarrassing news. Turns out the reason why this truck hasn't had much angle is not because it needs more angle mods, but because the knuckle is hitting the lower control arm. So I could have had more angle this entire time. This is how much angle it has now. Pretty pathetic. That's full lock. And if you look, you're not really gonna be able to see it, but the knuckle is just hitting pretty much this little lip right here. So I'm gonna take this apart, grind down the lip, put a notch in the knuckle, see what we get with that. Hitting right there. All right, so that gave us a little bit more angle, but now the steering rack is bottoming out. So it was pretty much bottoming out before we cut that, now it is. So I think I'm gonna go ahead, throw on the steering rack spacers. That will give the steering rack more movement, and that will give us more angle. And then I think at that point, we're gonna need aftermarket or custom, because you know it's Fabium here, we're gonna need custom control arms at that point because the wheel is very close to hitting the stock upper control arm. We'll do the steering rack spacers and that should be good for now. I don't want to do the custom control arms quite yet because one, that will take a while, and two, I know this setup is reliable. I've been daily driving on it for a while, so there's no point in changing a whole bunch of stuff right before having to drive it for a really long time. They are good. Before I get back to work on the truck, I'm gonna help Pasha tune his Miata cart because he's finally getting this thing running and driving. He's got a Mega Squirt, he's got his turbo, he's got his, this is all set up. You should definitely go check out his YouTube channel. You guys recognize like 90% of the parts on this? Whose radiator is that? Whose filter is that? It's all right. You did it, so cool. So this little ring right here just slips over the inner tie rod and spaces it out. And that allows the steering rack to go in another 1/8 of an inch and give you more angle. The only kind of sketchy thing about these is that it doesn't allow you to use the little lock washer anymore. So a lot of people have issues with their tie rods coming loose. So you want to use a lot of red Loctite because you don't want them coming loose, especially a 4-hour drive down the highway. That is a little sketchy, but yeah, it's blue Loctite. Doesn't smell as good as the blue stuff. 0 out of 10. That better be enough Loctite. Well, the angle of the truck felt great there, but as you saw, another problem has arisen. And this is a problem that has plagued the truck for a little bit. The LSD does not like to lock. Now, what we were trying to do yesterday is in the extreme where it's a grippy surface. I had the grippy tires on. I was in first gear trying to do tight drift. So there's a lot of grip difference between the inside and the outside tire. So the fact that it didn't lock there isn't too terrible. It would lock better on an actual track with a less grippy tire when you're putting more load on it and going a little faster. But the point is, it does still struggle to lock. And it's frustrating because we put that really expensive Ford Performance LSD with the brand new carbon fiber clutches and it's not clutching. What we're gonna try to do is just change the fluid and hope that helps. Right now I've got a really cheap O'Reilly brand fluid in there with a cheap O'Reilly brand friction modifier in there. So we're gonna go with some nice Valvoline, then we're gonna put some Motorcraft friction modifier in there and then try to do some normal driving on it and then try to do some drifting. Hopefully it breaks in. And then we'll do some other things. Right now I'm just gonna go ahead and cut up a hood vent for the hood to hopefully get the engine temps a little bit lesser. The truck does not overheat badly when drifting, but after a lap or two you have to wait for a little bit. But I'm trying to make it so we don't have to do that. So I'm gonna put a hood vent in and get some better fans and hopefully that helps extract some of the heat in the engine bay. We got this vent from the Rally Miata. We were gonna do this for the radiator and we didn't. So perfect little vent for the hood. We just gotta cut all the access off. I'm really happy with the way that looks. I know it's not as clean anymore. You know, the nice clean look was pretty cool, but this is aggressive, and this is a huge vent, so it should really help with engine bay temps, especially since this is such a small engine bay with such a big engine. The temps really, just the heat builds up in there. So hopefully that allows the fans to push some more air out. Let's go ahead and change that diff fluid though. So you guys might notice that these wheels have a lower offset by quite a bit. So we want to move these wheels to the front, so we have to swap the tires around. But these tires still have a little bit of life left in them. Not enough to justify taking them up to the drift event, because I only have one set of spares, but enough where it'd be a shame to just swap the tires right now and not use these. So what do you guys say we go test the new fluid in the diff, make sure it locks up well, maybe do a burnout, maybe test, see if the engine temps keep a little bit lower? So that sounds like a good idea to me.
Dude, that was massive.
That's what I was trying to do the first time. I literally had to redline it before I dumped the clutch. Woo!